Hi everyone, it's Thursday night and you're here live with Brushed by Brandy. So my name is Brandy. I am a Dixie Belle Paint brand ambassador, and I'm here tonight because I'm going to paint with you guys. So I have a special look that we're going to do tonight. You guys, my husband Sean is here. If you have any questions, come on and let me know what they are. Let me know you can see and hear me okay. So the look we're working on tonight, I'm working on this high boy, and I actually did a live earlier today on the Flea Market Decor magazine page, and we did the drawer sides of this piece. So I did the drawer sides and then the interiors of the drawers on this piece. But today I'm going to show you how I got the look on the front of this piece. So it's got a lot of pattern and texture on it, and I kind of pictured this, I don't know, it feels like an old Hollywood look kind of to me. So you'll notice down here is a different color because I'm going to do this on camera with you tonight. Up here is kind of my finished look. So this is what we're going for. And I'm hoping that this translates on camera. Sorry.
The inside of that smell? Got a scent to it?
Yeah, it does. Do you know what it is?
Nobody commented on, obviously. They can't tell, but I'm a genius.
Yeah.
So.
No, you noticed just pulling the drawers out. I put Big Mama's butter on there today. So I did that on camera, and I'll do it again tonight with you guys. But it does, it smells good. It makes the whole piece smell good. It takes away that like old funky smell that a lot of dressers have.
So can we just like leave the container open and put it on the counter in the house?
Yeah. Man. Was that a comment about my house cleaning skills?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I got it.
Oh, there's cleaning done? Oh.
We gotta hire someone for that. So this piece, there's quite a few things on here that I have a feeling aren't going to translate well onto video, but I think you'll see them when I take still photos of this and I can add some daylight to it. The background of this is metallic, so in the light I can see it has a light shimmer to it, and then also the raised stenciling has a metallic to it also. So it really catches the light really pretty, and then I thought with these pulls kind of pulled all the look together. So this is an Empire style high boy, and I'm going to show you how to do this raised stenciling that I did on here. So my body color is exactly the same mixture that I did the raised stenciling in. It's just the flat texture, and then the raised texture, you know, it shows as a different color. So I'm going to show you how to make that. So what I did is I took the new Dixie Belle metallics, and mine is like, I'm almost out of metallics, guys. I'm pretty proud of myself because these just came out. So this is one of the new moonshine metallics, and this is Silver Bullet, which is this beautiful rich silver color. And I'm going to take just a little plastic dish here, and I'm going to dump, I'm probably going to use the rest of this, so I'm just going to dump it all in here.
And if you need to color match, it looks like there's some other colors on that container you could play around with.
Yeah, so I am not good about my mixes, that I will, like, I don't measure anything, and sometimes my paint containers get contaminated, and I don't freak out about that. But I've already mixed out of this one. I've done this whole piece with this container here, so it's been well loved. Okay, so I just emptied that last of that container. Goodbye, my first moonshine metallic. And then I'm going to take some Dixie Belle Sea Spray. So Dixie Belle Sea Spray is a texture additive, and when it comes with a scoop inside of it, and it looks kind of like baking flour. It's a very fine powder. So I'm going to start with less, because less is, I can always add more as I'm doing this mixture, but I'm trying to get a certain consistency, and since I'm using the last of my paint, I don't want to over add the sea spray and then not have enough paint in there. So what that sea spray does is it's going to start thickening my paint. So I'm trying to make a texture paste out of my paint. And it's going to retain the shimmer of the metallic. Okay, so right there, I can tell you that's not enough sea spray. I'm going to add a little bit more.
It's like a bad cooking show.
Yeah, it is terrible. This is a terrible cooking show. If you're watching this to learn how to cook, you need to change the channel. That is one thing you will not learn here. And nothing I do is food safe, by the way. This container, not food safe. Probably my cooking isn't even food safe.
I just like that I didn't say that.
But you were thinking it? Okay, and I just will keep adding. So this is my, I'm just giving it little scoops of sea spray because I don't want to get too much. And I'm just stirring it in, and once I kind of have an idea that it's the right consistency, whoops.
Whoop.
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 Just got something on fire. My bad.
Uncle Rob.
So I'm getting pretty close. I kind of like this. I don't want it to drip off my spoon at all. I want it thick. So this is pretty close, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and stick here. But, so this is a silver. This would be like a silver texture paste, but I don't want silver. I'm going for a light blue. So I took my Dixie Belle paint in Vintage Duck Egg, and I'm just going to pour a little bit of
Everybody's wondering where Ginger is.
Oh,
Ginger's
Ginger's
playing.
inside. So you guys, we literally got home like 5 minutes before I got on camera tonight. Ran in the house, got everything together. My boys are in summer camp right now at Sacramento State Aquatic Center. Does a summer camp where they can do wakeboarding, water skiing, sailing, kayaking, paddleboarding.
You know, sorry to interrupt, but I want to kind of throw out a PSA.
Oh.
Just when you think you know people, Gary, thanks Gary, by the way, says, why didn't I tell you to put everything into the container, sea spray, into the container that you already emptied instead of making basically a new container?
Oh, Gary, will you stop with your smart ideas?
I'm going to have technical
Yeah,
difficulties.
you think you know it all, huh?
Man, some people.
Okay, when you're mixing sea spray, you can mix it as smooth or as rough as you want. So I've mixed this really well to where my paste, this is a texture paste now, is pretty smooth. I don't have the, you know, lumps and chunks in it. It's pretty well mixed. It looks like peanut butter. It's like peanut butter, maybe like a cake frosting, but you can see. So it's now a light blue metallic is what I mixed this paste into. So my body color is the same color that I just mixed, but without the sea spray. So my body color was the Moonshine Metallics with the Vintage Duck Egg. Now I just added a little sea spray to it because I'm going to use it for texture. Let me get this stuff out of the way.
Hey, maybe next time we'll mix it in that container.
Yeah, actually,
I heard that might be effective.
I do wash out my Dixie Belle containers, and I use them for when I mix custom colors, and I store them in my Dixie Belle container. So I will actually wash this out. Okay, and then I've already done the front of this, so I'm actually going to turn my piece to the side, and we're going to work on the side of this cookie. I should have put it up on wheels, but I had all my gear up on top of it, so I didn't want to try to tip it up onto wheels. Okay. So my stencil that I chose for this piece is a large stencil here. This one I think is from Royal Design Stencils. I just like the pattern of it, but this could be done in any pattern that you want. I like this one because it feels like it has kind of an Art Deco-y feel. It's got like a large poppy pattern. So it felt kind of Art Deco-y, kind of like the style of the dresser. So I tend to be a theme decorator, so when I see a theme, I just kind of go with it. And this one felt a little bit Art Deco to me. So I'm going to take this massive stencil and I'm going to spray it with spray adhesive. This is just Super 77 spray adhesive by 3M. It's from Home Depot. I don't have any preference, but this one always works well for me, so I just keep getting the same one. So I'm going to spray this entire stencil. Okay, it doesn't take a whole lot of spray, and then I'm going to line this up, center it on my dresser. You know, more or less, it doesn't have to be exact because I'm not trying to match it up to any kind of pattern on the front or anything. And I'm going to press it down, and that spray adhesive gives it a little bit of bite onto my dresser. So like I don't have to tape it or anything, it just will, it's going to hold itself on there now. And I can press the sides down because I'm going to stencil these sides too. So, and then I'll just have to come back and do a second placement down here for this little spot.
So just to recap, a couple things. Where'd you get the stencil?
So this one's by Royal Design Studio. But Redesign with Prima has a lot of big stencils like this that are really nice and fairly inexpensive for this size of stencil. But this one is by Royal Design Studio. So it can be any stencil you have, any stencil you like will work with this. If you want a little bit thicker, your relief to be a little bit thicker on your stencil, Redesign with Prima actually makes special stencils that are thicker stencils for doing raised stenciling. This is just a regular one, so my stencil isn't very, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. It's not very deep. The height of my stencil isn't going to be very tall. I don't know how to say that.
And then really quickly, the colors, the thickness.
Thickness, yeah, thickness of my. So the colors I used were Dixie Belle Moonshine Metallics in Silver Bullet, and then I mixed in a little bit of Vintage Duck Egg. So this is a metallic. I know you can't see it, but I can see the little mica in the paint itself in person. So. And when you mix the regular paint into the metallics, it takes the metallic down a little bit, so you don't want to over mix the regular paint in. So it almost comes out more like a pearlescent than an over metallic.
Now with the spray, do you have any residue left?
Oh yeah, on my stencil I will. Not on the piece itself. The residue is going to stay on my stencil itself. So people ask me all the time how I clean stencils, and I'm always nervous to tell you guys this, but I'm going to be honest. This is what I do. I will, every so often, to clean my stencil, I will paint on citrus strip onto my stencil. I've never had one get ruined, but I don't know that every stencil would hold up to that. So just do it cautiously if you choose to follow my advice. But I paint on citrus strip, and it will, then I just can wipe off, it will wipe off any of the residue from the spray adhesive. So that's honestly what I do, but I don't know that anybody would advocate that, because it is a stripper that I'm putting on my stencil. And I'm rough on my stencils, but they hold up pretty well. I haven't lost any yet. So what I'm doing now is I'm using a Redesign with Prima, one of their new natural bristle brushes. I love these. And I'm just dabbing in. So it's going to leave a little bit of texture in my stencil. And I want the texture for this one because I'm using decorative waxes after this, gilding waxes. And I want to give them some texture to kind of stick into. But I'm going to show you another method too. These are also by Redesign with Prima. These are, they come in a package of 2. They're little spatula tools. But you can take one of these little spatula tools, and if I wanted to get this smooth, I could brush this on with the little spatula. And I just want to fill in, and what I do when I do this is I'm kind of brushing in all directions to make sure I get an even thickness, and then I'll refill my little tool. So this would be if you didn't want that texture from the dabbing of the brush.
How did you create the texture in the paint?
I added Dixie Belle Sea Spray. Dixie Belle Sea Spray is a powdered texture additive that you can just mix into your regular paint. So you can make this mixture in any color that you want. The regular paints, the metallics, and mix it into a textured paste. So this will, this little spatula tool will also make my stencil a little bit thicker than just doing the dabbing with the brush. So I just try to go through, and I'm kind of just working one little section of my stencil at a time, making sure I get it nice and smooth. And then I'll move on to another one.
And then if you have any ridges or anything when you pull a stencil off, how do you cure it?
I'm going to sand it. So that's one thing that's good about this texture paste that I mixed, is it is the same color all the way through. So if I come back and I sand the texture paste with the sea spray in it, it's the same color all the way down to the bottom. It's not like I did a white texture paste and then painted over the top of it and it's going to be white underneath. It's the same color all the way through. So I will give this a fine sanding. I'm going to show you guys the different steps tonight. So I'm going to go back to my brush because I do want a little bit of texture on this. I want it nice and thick, but I do want a little texture so it matches the front. But yeah, I will come back after I've laid this paste on, and you get little chunky spots like this here, or areas that are kind of raised, and I don't want it to be, you know, where you brush up against it and it like cuts your skin or anything. So I will sand, and it's just going to take down any little nubs.
So have you ever had a concern with the spray adhesive removing the paint?
No.
Or any surface?
Never.
Okay.
Never. That's a great question, but no, I've never. And I do it all the time. It has never pulled my paint. This paint is good and dry too. I wouldn't put it on fresh paint for sure. Yeah, definitely make sure your paint is good and dry.
And I realize that there's variances by temperature, but what's like the timeline for this to dry?
It dries pretty quickly. So as I go through and say I'm working down here, if I work in sections, the section I started in is going to start drying already. So it dries actually fairly quickly. And you guys, I had to rinse this out of some stuff last night. I don't know what's in sea spray, but it dries like a rock. But that made me feel good that I know this is really durable. So I'm going to go in here and get these sides, because what I'm going to have to do is push my stencil into this recess right here. So I want this side to already be done. What's wrong? Okay, I'll see if I can fix it. Okay, we can replace it. Have you taken a shower? No, why don't you go take a shower? Okay, I'll be in a few minutes. You guys, my kids are so tired this week. Like I was saying, they're in summer camp right now. Sacramento State does a summer camp where they can learn sailing, kayaking, wakeboarding, water skiing. They have come home every day this week, like more tired than I've ever seen them in my life. They're exhausted. This is their third year doing it. So I'm going to just come down and I'm going to knock down any like really high texture just using my spatula tool. And then I'm going to go back to my brush again. So they're so tired. But literally 20 minutes before I came on camera tonight, we were kayaking out at the aquatic center. So Ginger is inside. We didn't even have time to get her out before we came on tonight. Oh, you did? Okay. I don't know where Ginger is then. That's a great question.
Who?
I thought you were watching her. Okay, so I feel like this is pretty good now, where I can pull this little side of the stencil up, and it's so pretty under there. You can already see this raised portion just on this one section. And now I can press it down into this recess here, and I'm just going to hold it with my finger and get these corners. Same thing all the way down. I'm just going to hold it. I go as far into the corner as I can, but if it's not all the way or exactly perfect in the corner, that's okay. For the look I'm doing anyway. You guys can decide if you want to try to force it in there. But this is all, I mean, I have no tape on this stencil at all. It's just being held up by that spray adhesive, that little bit of spray adhesive.
Everybody wants to be our kids for summer.
Yeah.
Camp.
I know, how lucky are they?
Trisha said you won't have to explain why you have a 44-year-old kid. Yeah. You already do.
No, I think it's super cool. So we have a boat and we live like 10 minutes from the lake, and my kids spend a lot of time on the water. Okay, just come out here. Just sit on this. Go on, Mommy, Daddy, Mommy. So my kids spend a lot of time on the water, so I really want them to learn this stuff. But I agree, how lucky are they? I never got to do that when I was a kid. This is just taking down any really high points in there.
Yeah. Can you grab your spray?
Yeah.
And just do it.
It's just a 3M spray adhesive from Home Depot. I've used a few different brands. That's my favorite, I think, for I like the spray nozzle on it most of all. So now I'm going to come over here and do this edge. I want to get this side done so I can pull this off and you guys will see the relief. And then once I put the, I'm going to put some metallic gilding waxes on it, and then it's got the metallic in the paint. It's just really a pretty soft kind of romantic look. It takes a while, but I did, you know, I did 2 placements of the stencil on the front. I'll do 2 down the side. And I've got 2 coats of paint underneath here. So, okay, this dresser was in rough shape. This is probably one of the rougher pieces I've done. And I usually try to pick pieces that are in, you know, pretty decent shape because I'd rather spend my time adding decorative finishes than doing repairs. You know, even if it means spending a little bit more on my pieces. So now I'm just knocking down like the, you know, really high nubs that might have gotten in there, and then I can pull this and I can force this into the corner on my dresser. There's my side. So pretty.
So if you've used, for the people that came on late, if you use the same color in your body paint,
yes,
and use the same color in your raised stencil, why do they look different?
Because one has the sea spray in it, and the sea spray lightens it a little bit, but it's also a difference of the height. So my paint now is, or my stencil's raised above the height of my painted surface. So those are the only differences between the two. Is this stencil has the sea spray in it, and then the height difference, and that's kind of it. You know, the sea spray will lighten your paint a little bit. It's a kind of a white in color. So just have this side to go down, and then we can pull this off. Okay, so what I was saying is this piece was actually in pretty rough shape. So that was part of the reason behind the look that I chose for this, is this raised stencil. It had a lot of veneer issues. I patched them and sanded them, but you could still see where they were. It didn't look like, it wasn't going to be appropriate for a super smooth, you know, clean, refined finish. So this texture on here, it makes those veneer issues just disappear.
So Carolyn wants to know if you've ever used gold leafing on a project.
Yes, of course, I love gold leafing. It's beautiful. I have a couple videos actually on my YouTube channel with gold leafing. I've done gold leafing and stenciling, and just gold leafing as a decorative accent.
Oh, Bernadette's reporting in from Scotland.
Ooh, hi Bernadette. So everybody on here knows I'm a big fan of Outlander, which is filmed in Scotland.
Oh gosh.
I know. Okay, Sean can say whatever he wants, but he absolutely has watched every season right alongside me, so don't listen to that.
It's like sleeping medicine.
Yeah, whatever. So now I'm just taking down those really raised bumps. I mean, it still has texture in it, but it just doesn't have, like, you know, any really pronounced bumps in it. I'm just pushing it into the corners.
So what was the mix that you used for the stenciling?
The mix, this texture paste that I'm using, is a mix of Dixie Belle Metallics, Moonshine Metallics in Silver Bullet, Vintage Duck Egg, just a little bit of Vintage Duck Egg, just enough to tint my paint. And then Dixie Belle Sea Spray. And I just added the sea spray slowly until I got the consistency in this paste that I wanted, which is it's kind of the consistency of peanut butter, creamy, not chunky.
And the brush set that you're using?
These are the Redesign with Prima. They're natural bristle brushes. It's just a nice big size stencil brush. These come in a set actually, and they're beautiful. I'm going to use another one tonight for putting my Big Mama's butter on.
And what do you have in your hand right now?
Redesign with Prima, Redesign with Prima, Redesign with Prima. This is a little spatula tool, also by Redesign with Prima, and it's made exactly for this, for doing raised stenciling. So are you guys ready for this? I love this part of stenciling. So now we can pull this stencil back, and I have a raised stencil in here. So my stencil didn't cover this part right here, so I'll just come back. I'm gonna let this dry a little bit, and then I'll come back and do that second portion here. So once this dries, I'm gonna let this dry, and then I will take one of the Dixie Belle sanding sponges, which is a 220 grit. I can't see it. Okay. These here. And I will finely sand over the top of this, and that will just knock down to where when you rub it down with your hand, it feels smooth. It's gonna get, you know, here's a little chunk right here. It'll just pull that stuff out. So once this is dry, I will knock it down with my sanding sponge.
Now, how do you clean your stencil? Let's go over that.
Yeah, I already, so there's two things on here. This side has the paint, the sea spray mixture. And so what I'll do on here, hopefully before it dries, if you just get this wet, let it sit for a minute, I take a scrub brush and I can just scrub this paint right off. Now the spray adhesive is another story. The spray adhesive, I will let it build up a little bit. I'll use this, you know, 3 to 5 times probably. And then it starts getting kind of gunky. So at that point I will paint on, lay this on a piece of cardboard, and I will paint the back of my stencil with citrus strip, and then I just wipe it off. And it
great, there goes our floor.
Yeah, yeah, it's almost dry. That stuff dries pretty quickly. So now I'm going to turn this piece, and we're going to work on the next steps for this look, which is kind of all the waxes. So the front here, I've already sanded it down, and then I put a single coat of Dixie Belle Gator Hide on here. So this is all sealed and sanded. It's nice and smooth. I added these faux keyholes here. These were poured with resin in one of the Redesign with Prima molds. And I chose to do every one of them a little bit different. And I'll show you guys a little bit how I got the decorative finish on there as we get closer to the end. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to put over the top of this is Dixie Belle Grunge Gray Wax. And what this is going to do is the gray wax is going to catch into the raised portion of my stencil, that little bit of texture I put in with the brush. It's going to catch that, and it's going to kind of dirty up my stencil a little bit. But I want to make it a little bit more pronounced from my background color. So we'll do that right now. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take another little tiny wax brush and a rag. Okay, so little tiny wax brush and a rag. I'm gonna just tip my brush in my grunge gray wax.
Just trying to catch a side angle so people can see the texture.
Yeah, it is hard because this is something that I can see really well in person, but on camera I don't know if you guys can see it. So I'm just gonna put a coat of this wax on the whole front of my piece. I'm gonna dig it in next to this keyhole. So I really want to get into the texture of the stencil, so I'm kind of doing a circular motion. This is how I would put a coat of wax on, though, is I just take a wax brush. Okay.
And the brush you're using?
I don't know. This one is just a plaid. This was a craft store one, but it's virtually the same as the Redesign with Prima one that I was just using. Just a small wax brush. So once I've got a good coat on there, I'm just going to take a rag and wipe it back. Now because I put that coat of gator hide on here, I can wipe my wax back as much as I want. I really don't want to wipe it back from my stencil. I mostly want to wipe it back from my...
So hopefully that answers Amber's question. Are you doing the wax before or after you seal?
I sealed it first.
So you sealed it first.
I always seal my paint with a clear coat before I put on colored waxes. And the reason is because then it allows me the ability to wipe those waxes back as much as I want. I can control I'm gonna come down and do this next drawer. This is exactly how I put a coat of wax on though. I just use a circular motion and a wax brush. I do a lot of clear coats, but I used to actually be a wax girl where I only used waxes. And then I really liked the Dixie Belle clear coats, so I use those now.
Why the gator hide and not easy peasy wax?
It could be any of them. It could be any. It's really a clear coat of your choice. Could be a coat of clear wax, could be the easy peasy spray wax, could be satin clear coat. I just put gator hide on. But yes, any of the clear coats, just something to seal your paint before you come back with these dark waxes, because otherwise you're not going to be able to wipe it back from your paint.
Can you tint Dixie Belle mud?
Yes, you can. You absolutely can. So I could have done this, made that texture paste with Dixie Mud. The Dixie Mud comes in 3 colors. It comes in white, black, and brown. So I would have had to add enough color to turn the white. So it was a little easier for me to just use the sea spray versus trying to turn the white into the color that I wanted. I'll do this last drawer down here. This is just a coat of gray wax. And then I'll show you, this one's a little bit lighter, and I'll show you how I lightened it up even more. But this gray wax gives a little bit of definition to my stencil. It sticks more into my stencil and not so much on the background.
So let's see if I can catch this on camera for Liz. She's wondering as far as a shimmer.
Here, maybe if we take it out and move the drawer a little bit. Like, you got to catch the light with metallics.
Oh, right there. Can you guys see that?
So that's over underneath my overhead lights. You can see it more. And Liz, I'll take still photos of this too with natural daylight on it. And that I think will really bring out you'll be able to see the metallic in it too.
And then what color is this gray that you're using?
This is Dixie Belle Grunge Gray Wax.
And then what's your base color?
My base color was a mix of Dixie Belle Moonshine Metallics in Silver Bullet and Vintage Duck Egg. I just tinted the Silver Bullet with the Vintage Duck Egg. So it gave me this like soft blue metallic. It still has a metallic. It's a little, mixing it with the regular paint takes the metallic down a little bit, but so it's probably more of a like pearlescent. I'm gonna go down here and get this lip too. Waxing's hard work. I've been kayaking, guys. My arms are tired.
You always paint the inside of your drawers?
No, I don't. But these were, if you watch my video that I did on the flea market decor page today, these drawers were funky. They were funky drawers. I cleaned them and they were so stained with ink stains, and you know, people had carved their initials in them and they just looked bad. So I painted the inside of these drawer boxes. Because I don't think you can do a piece like this and spend so much time on it and then open the drawer and the inside of the drawer is nasty. So now I'm going to grab another brush.
Is it an otter pop?
Yeah, these are my little like stencil brushes and stuff. All different kinds of artist brushes, and some of them are out being washed. But I've got all different kinds in here. So more of these, more of the redesigned stencil brushes, and I don't have a particular choice for this, except I want a natural bristle brush. And my next step is I'm going to take the Redesign with Prima Decor Wax. This is Diamond Dust. And Diamond Dust is just a shimmer. It doesn't have a really strong color to it. But I'm going to take this on the same type of brush I've been using. I'm going to swirl this on. So this adds even more shimmer.
Because as you can see, the difference in color between
This drawer and this one?
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's because this one has more waxes on it than this one does.
I wasn't going to bring out my sophisticated pointer.
Your pointer?
There, yeah.
So then I'm just going to wipe it back because, like I said, I want it to stay in just the raised portions. So I'm just going to kind of wipe it back all over. And I can keep adding. I will keep layering these waxes till I have the look that I want. Is this the brush I was using? I hope so. I'm going to get it all up in here around my keyhole. And I'll show you guys the keyholes next, what I did to get those, the color on those. So I just kind of layered these waxes on until I got this look that's up here. Adding the lighter, adding the darker, letting it stick into the raised portions of my stencil. So these Redesign with Prima decor waxes, you can use like an all over wax. You see me use them a lot on hardware and stuff like that. But this is where, and a little bit goes a long way. You can use the Dixie Belle gilding waxes like this too.
So if somebody wants to buy the paints or the items on here, how do they go about doing so?
I have an affiliate link at the top of this post, and that will take you straight to the Dixie Belle page. And the paints that I'm using today are all available through Dixie Belle. If it's a Redesign with Prima product, you can go to redesignwithprima.com and it will give you a list of all the local retailers in your area. You input your zip code and it will tell you your local retailers.
And then once you're done with this, do you, sorry to interrupt you, that's what I do. Do you seal it?
No, I won't. So the waxes will seal it. All these waxes I'm putting on here are all sealants. So I already put a coat of gator hide over the top, and then I've got waxes over the top of that even still. So no, once I am done with the waxes on this, okay, so I will keep going down the front and layering those waxes until I've got just the amount of shimmer that I want on this. I used the same decor wax. This is an Eternal. I just put it on my finger and hit the top of my... So this piece had real keyholes in it. It has actual locks on these drawers, but I don't have the key to it. So I chose to make them these decorative keyholes by just putting a mold over the top of them. So let me show you what I did there. So I took... And I'm also going to add them behind my hardware, I think, too. These aren't done, but I've poured a whole bunch of these that I would put behind this round hardware just to kind of accent that. I think it'll be pretty. So this mold here, this keyhole mold, is available by Redesign with Prima. It's actually in their mixed media line, which is scrapbooking supplies. So I picked it up at Michael's, and I cast these faux keyholes. So this one here, I chose to do these two top drawers in this smaller one, and then these I did in all different keyholes. So I took it here, I cast it with resin, and I spray painted it with silver spray paint. And then I took my Dixie Belle gilding wax in black, and I like the Dixie Belle black gilding wax because it's a nice strong black. Just a small brush. And right over the top of my silver spray paint, I'm just going to dig it into the crevices. Because these look way too new to be on this dresser. Silver spray paint is hard. Silver is one of those colors that it just looks fake silver. So I always try to add something extra over top of it to kind of age. Okay, so I dug that silver gilding wax into all those crevices. Now I'm going to wipe it back. And then I'll take the same gold with my finger, and I'm just going to hit the high points of it with the gold. So it kind of looks like this. This is the black gilding wax over silver spray paint. Just took it down. It's not so shiny and new. It's a little aged looking. And then I can add some gold. Just hit the high points with my finger, and it really brings out the details in it. So now it went from a flat silver spray painted look, which is what this is, which looks fake and not as pretty. And then we just layered those waxes on here and it gave it some depth. You can see the recesses have the black in it, the high points have the gold on it, and it looks a little bit more authentic.
So what did you use to put those on the drawer front?
I used, this is my current favorite glue to put my molds on, Type Bond Quick and Thick. Mostly I just like saying quick and thick.
Here, say it again.
Quick and thick.
Okay.
It doesn't run. It sets up fairly quickly. So I'm just going to put some glue on the back of this. I want to kind of spread it out. You don't want too much because it will start pushing out the edges once I attach this to my surface. And then I'm going to put it on here. And I want to kind of line it up with the real keyhole. That was kind of what I was doing. Okay, and then I'm going to take a little bit of my painter's tape.
Which is not up there?
It's not, okay.
Oh, it's right.
Oh, I see it. Sorry. Okay, so my keyhole is sliding right now. So I will take a little bit of painter's tape. I'm going to put it back where I want it. And I'm going to secure it. I'm kind of sitting off to the side, so I hope that's straight. And I will secure it right there. And then that glue will set up, and it's going to be... Hang on. Before I glue this all crooked. There we go.
You know how to catch it before somebody asks. Do you worry about pulling the tape off the piece?
No, my paint is all sealed. I've pulled all these off today, and not one single speck of paint came off with it. None of my raised stenciling came off, nothing. So just like that. And then when that glue dries, I can pull this tape off, and that's going to be attached to my piece permanently. So these are all they're not going anywhere. I just attached these today, same exact way.
So, off topic, Georgia wants to know if she can use the Dixie Belle Silver Metallic instead of the home decor.
Oh, instead of the redesigned, oh yeah, oh, the Dixie Belle gilding wax, is that what you mean? Yeah, let me grab my silver gilding wax. Gotta find it, not nice.
There's one in every bunch. Trisha likes your red bracelet.
See, I told you, we really were out at the, we were at the aquatic center tonight, kayaking with the kids. They have one night a week that we can go to their summer camp and do.
Or when you tell a story, you got to make it that believable.
Yeah.
You got to commit.
We can do kayaking. They have like a water course you can go on. You can do sailing.
You grab the bottle of glue.
My quick and thick. So this I just got at Home Depot. But I like this for attaching molds. Dries clear, paintable, water cleanup, 2 times faster, 3 times thicker. I mean, it's all the things that you want in a glue to set these things up. So this is the Dixie Belle Silver gilding wax. Now, when you were asking if you could use the silver, did you mean over or to paint the molds like I did? You could use that, or did you mean like on your raised portions there? You could definitely use the silver there too. So this is just the silver gilding wax. So the Dixie Belle gilding waxes are a little bit firmer than the Prima gilding waxes. But you could do a silver wax on here if you wanted to.
Nope, you caught Aaron's attention. He loves him some gilding wax. He's doing it right now.
Yeah. Oh, Aaron, hey Aaron. Aaron is coming to the Dixie Belle Retailers Conference. I finally get to meet Aaron in March. So that one's open to retailers, but if you're not a Dixie Belle retailer, there is a conference going on in Ontario, California, September 28th and 29th. That one's open to the public. That's called Redesign with Dixie Belle, or the Bells and Bow Tour in New Jersey on November 3rd. And I will be teaching at either one of those. And we're going to be doing, honestly, some of these same techniques, layering with gilding waxes, shading with paint, all that good stuff. So that's kind of it, you guys. That's the raised stencil let it dry, seal it, and then start layering your waxes on top of it. You could do any, I mean, these redesigned decor waxes come in pearlescence, so you could add some pearlescent on top of this, but I just like that little bit of diamond dust over top of the stencil with the gray wax. So that's kind of it. I will get this piece finished up in the next few days, and I'll get finished pictures posted on my page, and I'll make sure to take pictures so that you can see how the light hits the metallics in this, because I know it's not translating on camera to what it looks like in person. But my main point was to show you guys that you can take the new Dixie Belle metallics and you can mix them with the sea spray. You can mix them into the clear wax if you wanted to make a wax with a little bit of shimmer in it.
Kelly says you need to come to the East Coast.
I am, New Jersey, right? That's about as East Coast as it gets. New Jersey, November 3rd, called the Bells and Bow Tour. bellsandbowtour.com. There's still tickets available, and I am teaching there. One day only. I've never been to New Jersey. So that's kind of it, guys. I'm going to finish this dresser up. I will get photos out to you guys. If you have any questions, go ahead and pop on and ask, and I'll come on later and try to answer those. I'll be here live again next Thursday. But thank you so much, you guys, for having us tonight. And I don't know, I'm going to go sleep. Yeah, have a good weekend, everyone.